Hi, everybody. This is Tyler from Seller Accountant, and I wanted to walk you through a quick procedure for how to manually grade the profitability of your SKUs. And so, what you'll do is you go into Seller Central, hover over reports, and go into the fulfillment report area. Once you're in the fulfillment report area, you're going to look for a report called the fee preview report. Once you click in here, you're going to be able to request the spreadsheet or CSV file. Once it becomes available, you're going to download it. And that spreadsheet, just to kind of jog over here, is going to give you a whole bunch of information. I've changed all the brand names and stuff here to protect the innocent, but it's going to give you a bunch of columns that we don't care about. So we need the SKU. We don't need the name. We don't need the ASIN. We need the price that we're charging the customer. We don't need the dimensions, and we need the fee total coming from Amazon. So here's what I'm actually going to consolidate this spreadsheet by just narrowing all of these unnecessary columns. All right, so I've narrowed a bunch of these unnecessary columns. Here's kind of the last stack of them here. We really just care about the total fee for Amazon. There's a referral fee, occasionally there's a variable fee, and then there's the pick and pack FBA fee. Again, you could delete them if you wanted to. I tend to just keep the data, minimize it. And these first three columns are really the data you're getting out of Amazon. And now I'm going to add a bunch of columns so that I can actually calculate the profitability of each of these SKUs. And so when we look at this, and so the column Z here, the first one you're going to be adding is column Z, and you're going to be just literally loading your landed cost of goods sold, whatever you are calculating is your kind of fully landed COGS, right? So the what does it cost for you to buy the product from the factory and then get it into FBA per unit on a per unit basis? You can normally download. You may have a master SKU list or ASIN list where you can have all of your ASINs, and then if you've done a clever job of that, you can actually use a VLOOKUP formula. Or if you've got a small number of SKUs like this example here, you may just go and just type in the landed cost of goods sold for each SKU. And so then obviously if you take the sale price minus the Amazon fees, minus the landed cost of goods sold, you're left with a gross profit, and you can calculate a gross profit percentage and kind of give you some understanding of how profitable this unit is when you sell one of them. Now, the next thing we need to add is advertising. Advertising's tricky if you're doing this manually because the advertising API within Amazon gives you a lot of data that if you're using a paid for tool, it'll help you parcel out the ad dollars per ASIN or per parent. But if you're doing it manually, unfortunately, that data can be pretty difficult to come by unless you have your ad campaign split in such a way that just makes it really intuitive. For me, in this example, this customer, when I looked at his P&L, he had 10% of his sales were actually ad dollars. And we just chose to keep it simple for right now and just kind of use a blanket. 10% of the sales price is going to be our estimated ad spend across the board. Obviously, you can go back and edit this to make it more accurate based on your knowledge of your own advertising. And so now that we have advertising dollars, I can take gross profit, which again was the price minus fees minus the factory cost, but I can take that gross profit and now subtract the advertising load. And what that's going to leave me with is this really critical cash flow number called sellers discretionary earnings, SDE. And this is the discretionary cash flow that comes out of selling one of these units. So again, if we look at this first one, 10,001, you've had a gross profit of 47 dollars or about 32%. And now after you pay for the ads, you've got a seller's discretionary earnings of $32 or 22%. Generally in our business, we really like to see these SDE numbers at 20% or better. So this is a pretty strong SKU. We're happy with this SKU. We're happy with the way it's producing profitability. And then the last thing I'm going to add to this is I want to understand how many I'm selling in the past month, right? Because if I'm only selling one of these a month, then I don't really want to allocate a ton of my resources to correcting these listings or a lot of my time because I want to spend my time where I'm making the most money. And so you can go into the one of the traffic reports, split by ASIN, and go ahead and pull down a list of this is basically a report I got out of Amazon, and it gives you the total ordered from consumers, total ordered from the B2B side of it. And I just kind of added a column here and totaled it up so that I've got an actual number of units that were sold in the last 30 days. And then, you can use a VLOOKUP, or you can just manually type in here, whatever's easier for you, so that I can see how many of these units I actually moved in the last 30 days. And so obviously, if I make $32 per unit and I sold 45 of them in the last month, then I'm happy to the tune of $1,458 for this particular month. And so this is pretty powerful information, because now I look at the second SKU and I'm like, okay, I got my sale price here. I've got my Amazon fee, got my COGS, I got my advertising. And but before advertising, I feel like I'm making money on this SKU, right? But once I add in the advertising expense for SKU 10,002, wow, I've got a negative number in my seller's discretionary earnings. And so what that's telling me is that I'm essentially having to stroke a check basically to Amazon for 37 cents every time I move one of these units, and I have a negative free cash flow or negative seller's discretionary earnings. This is obviously really bad news. It's exacerbated by the fact that this is our highest volume SKU. I made up all of these numbers, but this is the highest volume SKU in this example, which means in a given month, I'm losing almost $500 selling this particular unit. And that's a problem. It literally means that if I did nothing else but can this unit, stop selling it, maybe I have to lose a little money to liquidate it for a month. But if I just stopped selling it, I would get a $500 or $462 per month raise on my bottom line. This is one that's going to be glaring white hot when I look at this analysis. I want to try to find whatever the most effective way to get this number up. And so you can do this for each and every one of your SKUs, and you can actually see, okay, if I total up the last 30 days, SDE, kind of do a sum down here, that's pretty good business, right? This guy's got almost $22,000 in free cash flow. And then the last thing I would recommend doing if you're really interested in grading SKUs is I want to give each and every product a goal. I want to look at each product and say, what do I really want this? What did I want this product to do before I started this month, or the forecasting for the next quarter, or whatever you might be doing? And obviously, I'm looking for gaps. I mean, clearly, if you had a negative number and your goal was a positive number, you're going to have a note here. Okay, you know what? For this one, I can do something about this. I'm going to go raise my price. I'm going to optimize my advertising. If I see that advertising is a problem across the board, that may be an indicator that I need to look to outsource my advertising, because it's maybe not my strength. If I see that my cost of goods sold or gross profits in general are too low, then it tells me that I need to look at my FBA fees, or I might need to look at trying to renegotiate my supply chain so that I can get a better deal on the products. But this view in general just gives you a lot of information to try to diagnose where your biggest challenges are, so that you can really understand how much cash flow each of your products is generating, and then hold those products accountable to some actual goal. So that, and what's kind of cool about this is, like, okay, when I look at my goal is about $1,000 more than what actually happened in the last 30 days. And I can kind of look for opportunities. Where's the lowest hanging fruit? What will get me the farthest, the fastest, if I wanted to make sure that I reach my goal next month? Well, maybe it's I want to re-optimize the advertising for this listing, or maybe I want to change the images or do a video or an infographic on this one. This just gives you the data in front of you, kind of simply stated, so that you can make the right CEO decisions and drive your business forward. So again, I'm Tyler from Seller Accountant. I hope this is helpful. If you guys have any questions, obviously you can reach out to us and find us at selleraccountant.com. Thank you.